Hello, hello, hello. I am back again. I've been on Instagram Live, YouTube Live, Facebook Live since about 6 p.m. Eastern today. And I'm still on here, back again for the third time. I'm on here with my great friend and incredible entrepreneur, Kevin Sarial. If you don't know who he is, you got to know today because he runs a company called Art Crypto that's doing amazing things around the world and helping people find passive income. Ben, welcome back to the Forbidden Knowledge Podcast.
My man, what's going on, Billy? How you doing?
All good, man. Another long day, bringing the knowledge to the people.
Dude, I was just watching your Neuralink one. So crazy, so sketch. I was like, oh man. I mean, I wasn't gonna let anybody implant anything in my brain, but now for sure not.
Oh heck no.
Yeah,
That's crazy, man. When I got into the science and got into the animal test studies and everything, and I could have went on for like another 2 hours about it, but of course I only had really 1 hour to play with. But man, there's just so much that can go so wrong with that thing.
yeah. I like the one though that like the guy had that was external. That was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that was dope. That was incredible. And that was just a student at MIT who invented that. That's so old. Like the technology itself is old. It just seems as if Elon was able to patent it under the auspices of injecting it or inserting it into the actual brain matter.
Yeah.
But the device that doesn't need any kind of invasive operation just sits right on your head and presses on your ear bone, and you think, and it picks up your thoughts and sends it to Google, and you get the answer back, and you regurgitate it. I mean, what more do you need other than that?
And you know that it's gotten even better and fast. Like somebody's got to have something out there like that right now. I don't know. I'm going to actually dig into it because you got me thinking. I'm like, man, there's something like that. And then, I don't know if I'm sure you've used ChatGPT, but I use ChatGPT all the time now. And I'm just going, oh my gosh, if you had ChatGPT with this thing, like it would be pretty cool.
It's insane. You would know everything. You would be one of the ancient gods of old that, you would have known everything, and anyone can ask you any question, even about a surgery or a disease or a cure or a remedy, you would have it instantaneously. You can speak any language, right? Yeah. So that's where it's going.
Oh, wow. Well, hopefully it doesn't get to the point where they're implanting stuff in our brains and we just have the external part.
Listen, man. When they start hacking those brain implants, it's over.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, when I saw that, I was like, oh man, at least the other one you can just like take it and throw it off your ear or something. But oh man,
crazy.
Cool. Yeah, anyways, so yeah, we got some good stuff tonight. I know you and I had a webinar a couple weeks ago, and I told you that I had a little bit of alpha because there's just so much around this this China matter. Like China's taking over the world, and China wants to be this, and China wants to be the world reserve currency. And I ended up reading an article. It's a very long, detailed article by one of the people that I really look up to in the crypto community. His name's Arthur Hayes. He's a billionaire. And, Arthur Hayes has a real different spin that really aligned with what I was thinking about what China is really up to and what's really going on in the world today in regards to, the dollar losing its value, losing its power, and the rise of the yen or the renminbi, which is the Chinese currency that they use inside of the country. The yen is the one they use outside of the country. And what I found, because I read the article and I just started digging even more, and what I found was resounding. I was like really blown away as to what kind of really was going on, and also, what our country did to knock itself out of alignment as the world's workshop, and how. And some of you may have a really, really tough time swallowing this pill, how those jobs are never coming back, at least in the next 150 years, never coming back to the United States. And, talking about Neuralink and AI and all this stuff, most likely even the jobs over in China, once that Pandora gets let out, they're never getting their jobs back either.
No.
And so
there's going to be an amazing job deficit. We're talking about maybe tens of thousands of jobs gone in just the title of the category of the job, which relates to millions of people out of work.
Yeah, it's wild. It was funny because, like, you know, again, talking about ChatGPT, when I started doing this, like, you know, I used to hire somebody to do my my design and presentation. I don't need to do that anymore. Like, literally, I can create a presentation within, you know, 30 minutes to an hour, where it used to take me, you know, me personally, it would take me like 3 hours. Somebody else who was doing investigation and all that stuff, you know, 3-4 hours. That job's gone.
Wow.
You know, I used to be in the law for 18 years. ChatGPT successfully argued a case. I forget what it was. I think it was like a motion for summary judgment. Successfully argued a motion for summary judgment and won.
Wow. Wow. It won a legal battle.
Yeah. And after it won, the judge was like, "You cannot do that." And it's like, well, why not?
Why not?
You know?
Why not?
Yeah. But it's coming. It's coming.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and then once it's really out of the bag and it turns into a manifestation of a humanoid, I guess, or a bugoid or whatever.
That's the next step.
That's the next step. And, you know, I'm sure you've seen Avatar, but the new one, right? The new Avatar, they're talking about how they're building, you know, whole buildings inside of 6 days, you know, with these little critters that look like spiders, and they just keep going. They don't stop. And that's really what's happening here. That's really what's happening here. So it's going to be interesting to see. I think that's probably a subject matter in and of itself, to see like where commerce is going. I think it's probably headed into the metaverse, but yeah, it's going to be very, very interesting to see where all this heads.
Yeah. And when you start to look at the amount of jobs that are going to be replaced in the next 10 years, the big problem that we have is because we as human beings on this planet haven't taken back control of our own planet from the 100 families that run us, 8 billion people being controlled by less than 100 people, actually. Because we haven't taken back control of the planet, and these jobs are going to be now missing, gone for good, like out of there, but the bills are still due. Like, there's no removal of the responsibility to pay back debt and expenses. So you have expenses, you have debt, you have responsibilities, and those don't go away, but the job that used to pay those is gone away. And so we have a catch-22 situation. We're not living in a Star Trek civilization, right? A Starfleet civilization where there's no bills, there's no debt. There's no monetary system in Star Trek. Everyone works because they have passion and they work what they're passionate about. And if they don't want to work at a particular job or a place, they just spend their time exploring their creativity in arts and traveling and seeing the world, or seeing space and other planets. But there's no requirement for them to work anywhere. As where the society we live in now, we're not in that utopia yet. And so if you remove all the jobs, but you keep the responsibilities and all the financial obligations, it's going to be a big fallout.
Well, and I think that's what's going to, the bubble that's really going to pop here. And, you know, I think, I'm sure you've heard a lot of people like say that, you know, Bitcoin was brought here by God or by people from the future, you know, to save the world, the planet, the universe, whatever. And I think that, you know, when you have something like Bitcoin, and, you know, some Bitcoin maxis don't like when I say this, but other cryptocurrencies that actually, you know, really make sense, like Ethereum, that's deflationary now. I really think that there's a lot of hope. There's a lot of hope. And, you know, even the guy, I forget what his name, Sam Altman or something like that, the guy who was one of the founders of ChatGPT, one of the visionaries of ChatGPT, is coming up with a new cryptocurrency. And I think they've raised like $215 million over the last year. And his cryptocurrency is called WorldCoin. This is a big deal. This is a big deal. This particular cryptocurrency, and I'm going to dive a little bit more into it, but I just like lightly read about it today, is actually tied to one's person. So you're going to have kind of a decentralized way of identifying yourself in the future. And they have these things called orbs that like scan your iris, and then it keeps like some of the data in the iris, but deletes the image for like privacy purposes or something. And that's how you're able to show, hey, I'm me. So it's not going to be a government, in my opinion. It's going to be something that'll be hopefully decentralized and on the blockchain that's super verifiable. And we don't need, the corporation of the United States, dictating our being and our identities. So there's some really, really interesting stuff, but like anything else, and you've studied the mass extinctions way more than I have. So I don't have, I don't know my head from my ass on that stuff, but anytime there's been a mass extinction or massive parabolic growth, something had to be teared down. And I think that's what's happening with this old system right now. And this is kind of what our rant's about is what's really going on with China right now, because in the world as a whole, because like you said, that debt-based system, it's a Ponzi scheme. They go around trying to regulate all these Ponzi schemes, and they're the one who made the blueprint for it, right?
I know. So crazy.
It's wild. It's wild. And, we've got, this debt ceiling coming up. They're saying that they've come up with a resolution, but, it's all these poly tricksters playing the game the way it was designed to be played from the time they invented central banks or fiat currencies. And so it's really interesting to see how the fall is going to come. It is going to come. But how and hopefully how not violent it becomes.
Right. Right, exactly. That's a fact.
Yeah.
That's an absolute fact. That's really what it boils down to,
Yeah.
And, again, this is why we have these kind of talks. This is why we have these types of podcasts, to make the people of the world aware of what's going on. We can bring that we can bring our attention to it, so we can know how to navigate through this financial matrix that's evolving on a day-by-day basis.
Yeah. And again, especially like with AI, and I think there's this guy, his name's like Brian Johnson, that I've been listening to. I think that's his name. He sold his company for like 800 million to eBay or something. It was like a payment service that he did. And now he's trying to like basically hack the human body, right? He spends like $2 million a year, and he's actually reversed aging, which is pretty cool. And so, but he talks a lot about AI, and he talks a lot about kind of this coming. And I really like his philosophy on and his outlook on what it looks like. And I think I botched his last name, but his thing is like, look, a lot of people ask him, because he's big in AI. He's like, what do you think AI is going to do? Is it going to be a positive thing, or is it going to be a negative thing? And he's like, well, we've invented AI. So it's like what we feed it is what it will become.
Yeah.
Right. So if we approach it with, love and light, and if we approach it with, the betterment of our species as a whole, and kind of let go of the ego, I think it's going to be a phenomenal thing, a Star Trek type thing, right? Less the Klingons. We'll be traveling, the universe, and there's another guy. His name's Raoul Paul, and he's been talking about the chart of exponential growth of technology, and that thing is about to start going like this, because with AI, and you saw it like 10 years ago. Like, so when I saw that, I was like blown away. I'm like, why do we not all have access to this right now? Just as a wearable. And and hopefully it is coming. And like I said earlier, it doesn't come in the form of a chip, but this is going to be radical, like radical, if we have access to that. And we already do. I mean, just even typing in Chat GPT, they're coming out with like, I'm in the world of crypto and finance and all that stuff. They're coming up with algorithms that literally are monitoring some of our best investors in the world, like Nancy Pelosi and some of these other polytricksters that are, very, very good at trading. I don't know how they get they do so much research, but like they're mirroring what they're investing in. It's wild, and they're actually outperforming them now. So I think all that stuff is coming at an exponential rate. So to say that we couldn't be traveling the cosmos very soon here, I think will be, or even going subatomic or whatever, who knows? It's coming, man. And this, and the technology's already out there. When you read your stuff, it's already out there, but I think we're coming into it now. So
yeah, it exists. It's just that it's finally getting down to the masses. Little by little, the masses are getting access to some of this technology. As it's being drip by drip released for monetization purposes. They control the monetization scale, how the money comes in, how much they can monetize a certain portion of tech or development over a period of time, and they continue to grow and release more and more and more. So it's like a car. They don't have a car that it's coming out in 2025, but it's already been made now today.
Yeah.
But you're gonna wait 2025 before they release it.
Right.
Same exact thing.
Yeah. Well, and this kind of gets us into what we let everybody know we're going to talk about tonight, which is, China, what China is doing right now. And because we've seen a lot of the headlines, right? And a lot of it is, I don't know. I got in a boxing match one time, and my best trick was I lifted this hand and the guy looked and I socked him over here. And it was like, that's, I think, what the lamestream media is doing to us right now, right? They're like, look over here, right? And what's really happening is very, very interesting. And that is, there's a lot of headlines saying, China is going to be the next world reserve currency. And I don't think that's coming as quickly, nor do I think that China wants to be the world reserve currency. And, let's talk a little bit about like history as it pertains to like the world's workshop, right? The US for many, many years was the world's workshop, right? We had a lot of free labor back in, 16, 17, 1800s. We had a lot of cheap labor because we had a lot of immigrants come over here that were willing to come over for opportunity and work, start from the bottom. And I think that's kind of where, Americans really have that entrepreneurial spirit. And it's slowly diminishing, unfortunately. But then you have this transfer all of a sudden, like sometime in the 90s, right? Where we went from like coming up with technology and building it at home to moving it abroad. Okay.
Right.
And we have these countries like China and Japan that, were basically demolished during World War II. And so they came up with kind of a way to, they came up with like 400-year plans, right? They're like, all right, we're going to rebuild our countries. And we're gonna make sure that we really think of the whole of the country and not just you certain amount of people and you certain amount of people. And that usually doesn't work, but they've done a relatively good job at kind of keeping unified China as a communist country and Japan as kind of a, I don't know, socialist / kind of capitalist country.
Right.
But
it's like a quasi-democracy.
Quasi-democracy, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. And so what I think what ended up happening was, after World War II, they started saying, okay, look, we got cheap labor and let's start building things. right? And we're gonna, started from the bottom, now we're here, kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
and so they little by little start encouraging people to start buying things from them, right? And they go, hey, US, hey, world, for the most part, why would you have all this stuff made here? Like, you guys are all smart. You guys are the smart guys, but let us do all the heavy lifting, right? And we'll do it for 10% of the cost or 5% of the cost, right? We have this thing called forced labor in China, especially in China. In Japan, not so much, but in China for sure. We have this thing called forced labor, where they have like different minorities or other religions that may not be aligned with them, where they pay them literally next to nothing or nothing, and they just give them a shelter and food. And so now this new wave of slavery, right, where they're able to start migrating a lot of the world's workshop to their countries, right?
Yeah.
Now, what happened to us was, we hit like the epitome about 10 years after World War II, right? So we were like building cars. We were growing. I mean, it was the American dream, right? Back then.
Yeah.
These big old Chevys, the television was brighter over there. Everything was up and coming in the United States. But with that, all right, one, we became, as Americans, we became the world's reserve currency, all right, by the Bretton Woods Agreement back in the early 1940s. They said, we're going to start denominating everything that we buy in dollars. That's going to be the standard unit of measure, right? But it's going to be denominated in gold.
Yeah.
And so what ends up happening is, though, everybody starts going, oh my gosh, the Americans build the best stuff. It's cheap. But then what happened? Americans started saying, hey, we're doing a good job. We want higher wages, naturally, right?
Yeah.
We wouldn't.
Right.
I'm working my tail off, and I'm slaving away for 30, 40 years. I want to make a good living. I want to make sure that I'm taken care of when I retire. And we had pensions back then. It was a really, really good economy, a solid economy. Yeah. But as we started migrating those jobs outside, we became a service-based country.
Yep.
We no longer were a labor-based country. We became doctors, lawyers, engineers, which is still, we need all these things, right? But the problem was that we didn't have any laborers, or very few laborers compared to what we used to have, right? So now we hear all sorts of stuff like, oh, the immigrants are taking all of our jobs. No, nobody even wanted to do those jobs to begin with. Like,
nobody wanted those jobs, and still don't want those jobs.
They still don't want to do those jobs. Like I when I was in the law, I represented Mexicans, and I'm not a Demopublican or a Republican. I was just a guy who cared about people, right? And these people worked the worst jobs, the absolute worst jobs, paid taxes. They never got returns back because they were illegal, but they had a fake Social Security that they would send out. And that's the thing that, the mainstream media doesn't cover, right? And there's billions of dollars from illegal immigrants going back to the United States because they don't want to get kicked out. And if they get caught, they can go, hey, look, man, I paid my taxes. I paid it more than everybody did, right?
Yeah.
So what ends up happening is, those jobs ended up going to the people who were willing to take those jobs for way lower wages, right? And then these other countries started taking on these other things. Now, what happened? The real grind, which, you pick up anything on your desk, this microphone that I have here, this hardware wallet, this keyboard, the computer I'm talking to you, all made in China.
Yep.
Probably soon to be India. Maybe.
Yes, everything's moving to India now. It's all moving to India. That's a fact.
That's facts, right? That's facts. So now what happens, though, is this. The Chinese get paid in dollars. So they're like, huh? And we do this in decentralized finance. Okay, so it's actually genius. They go, let's keep our labor low, and let's actually pay. Let's go and invest our money in the United States, where all these multinational corporations are, and grow our money exponentially. And let's go and invest in their real estate and grow our money exponentially. And let's go buy T-bills that are paying us, 4 or 5% on this kind of valuable fiat currency. It's more valuable than any of the other ones because they're all, in my opinion, shit coins, right?
Yeah.
Let's do that and we'll make even more money. But that was just for the elites. Because the thing that China didn't do that the US did was they didn't pay their people a rising wage with it. They kept the majority of the population down. Now, their middle class has grown, no doubt, okay? And their upper class certainly has grown. But not even close to the rate as the United States did in the 50s, 60s, and I don't even want to say the early 70s because that's when we went off the gold standard, but during the 40s, 50s, and 60s. And so this is why China wants to keep its money low, right? This is why they want to keep their money low, because if they keep their money low, they can keep paying the low wages. They can stay the world's workshop.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying? So now they don't want to carry that cross, okay, of, okay, what happens if we become the world's reserve currency? Well, now we have to become the strongest. We have to lift wages. And guess what? People will start to invest in our economy, which is a complete Ponzi scheme. And I don't know if you know this, Billy. There's over 50 ghost cities in China.
Yes.
50 ghost
cities. Fully built out cities, gigantic apartment complexes and so forth, just sitting there empty.
I actually pulled up the data here. 64 million empty apartments.
Wow.
64, let that sink in. 64 million apartments. Let me tell you how many apartments there are in the United States. Currently, the United States has apartment residents living in 21.3 million apartment homes. More than 3 times the amount.
Yeah.
More than 3 times the amount of apartments in the United States that are fully, for the most part, taken. They've got 3 times the amount over in China.
Empty,
dude. And so, they've created this house of cards that's now that if they start to, open up the world to China, they what's called an open economic environment as opposed to a closed one, they're screwed. They won't be able to handle it because, again, they're going to want rising wages. And now where are people going to go? They're going to start going to India or Vietnam or the Philippines to have all their goods done. They're going to be left with nothing. Nothing. Same as, and Japan's in a slightly different area, but still, where did the majority of our cars come from? I don't know if you know this, but the amount of cars produced in the United States, I think, was like 1.3 trillion. The amount of cars imported is, I'm sorry, not 1.3 trillion, 1.3 million per year.
Yeah.
The amount of imported cars, 8 million.
Wow.
And that's a lot of them. The majority of them are coming from Japan. They're like the leader, Toyota and Lexus and some of these other cars. And then you have like South Korea and all this stuff. And China's just moving up, but the majority of the other stuff comes in. And so let's kind of get to the point here. So, we've got this country that's like, wait a second, we're damned if we do and damned if we don't, right? If we end up taking in this money, or we start paying our people, and instead of investing in the United States derivatives, the stock market, the real estate market, the different assets that the US has to offer, then we have to probably start paying our people. And if we have to start paying our people, we lose our status, and people are going to go anywhere. And don't believe us? Look at the United States, right? So now what's happening is China's starting to go around the world and go, listen, we don't necessarily want to become the world reserves currency. We want to create something called the BRICS nations: Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. And there's a waiting list of 30 different countries wanting to get onto this thing, including our next door neighbor, Mexico.
That's right.
And they're going, well, how about instead of using just the Chinese yuan, why don't we instead do a basket of currencies or gold or different commodities and back this up, right? So now, in my opinion, what we're probably going to see is a 3-layer monetary system. And the one that performs the best and gives the best value to the world is going to win. Now, the problem is this, okay? And the United States is kind of screwed. They are losing market share, all right?
Yep.
And you know, there's guys like Russia that are really pushing this agenda because they're like, look, they canceled how many? I don't know, 800 billion of our dollars like that. If the U.S. doesn't agree with you, who's to say they won't do it to you? Right? So now what happens is we're going to have, I think, 3 different systems. The United States dollar, and because reserve currencies don't fall overnight. When you look at Britain, Portugal, Spain, ancient China, they all took time to fall, right? And somebody else kind of took that torch and ran with it. What I think was going to happen, we're going to have a multipolar system where we're going to have probably the dollar, probably the BRICS nations, and then third cryptocurrencies. Okay. And we're starting to see that in different countries like El Salvador, Bhutan, you know, and now countries that have completely debased their currencies like Turkey, Argentina, Venezuela, where they're just like, we're over your trash money. It doesn't work, right? You guys just take it to steal from us. You can't do that with Bitcoin. You can't do that with Ethereum. It's code. They're not making any more of it, right? And so so what I think is going to happen, it's going to come down to the system that provides the most value. And governments are too stupid and too slow to compete with people who really want to see a better world, in my opinion. Guys like you and I. And so we're going to start to see more and more people buy Bitcoin, buy Ethereum. But that's just the gateway to all this stuff, right? You and I know DeFi, or decentralized finance, which is what we teach. That's really where the stuff gets juicy. Because now I'm even able to tokenize property. All right. We've started to tokenize our first fourplex as a company, where I can actually make a dividend in cryptocurrency, in Bitcoin, Ethereum. If I want the United States dollar trash, I can do that as well. But I can pay my dividends in whatever I want to. I can do short-term rentals for this. And I have a coin that I can sell my piece of my property, like selling Bitcoin or selling Ethereum or anything like that. We have things called securities tokens coming up that are going to tokenize the stock market, and it is all coming. It's all coming. So they're going to have to compete with some really freaking smart people who really care about the world. And I think it's going to be a very hard task for them. But anyways, that's what I got to say, man.
Listen, you're right on point, man. You know, you're looking at the government and their archaic system of currency and finance, and their inability to pivot quickly in evolving markets. for example, with DeFi, just in this arena alone, they're struggling. They for one thing, every time they want to make one decision, it's got to go through 1,000 ears. I mean, you can't just say do something and have it done. It's got to go through this and that. It's got to be voted. It's got up. It's all this huge process to get something to go through. And a lot of the times you go through a full process, which could take up to a year or more, and then at the end, one person says no, and it doesn't go through. So you know what I'm saying? So it's ridiculous. It's a ridiculous system. And so you're right. You hit it right on the head. I mean, people who are really hungry and aggressively looking for ways to take humanity to the next level, take us to the next level of an economic system that's based on trust and truth and validity. This is where it's at now. We're talking DeFi. We're talking understanding how these cryptocurrencies work, understanding which ones are good, which ones are bad, and just learning all about the insides and outs of it, because that truly is the way to navigate through this economic matrix that they've had us locked into since forever. And we've also got to learn to stay away from the one that they're probably going to try to come out with, because that one's going to be complete garbage as well.
100%. You know, I'm looking at persistence over resistance here. They put this really interesting thing, and I love this because this is what the lamestream media tells us, right? But you and I both know, you've even talked to this, like without me even telling you, and some of the stuff that we've done together. But yeah, they ask, what about BTC's history, Bitcoin's history of being used to facilitate illicit transactions from drugs, weapons, and human trafficking? All right, that's like a page out of Joe Biden's book. All right.
Yeah.
And
right.
And here's what I have to say about that. If you're in DeFi like me or like Billy, you know better, because as long as I have your address, I can see every single one of your transactions since day one. And so drug traffickers, human traffickers, their drug of choice, no pun intended, is cash in the United States dollar.
Yep.
That's what they want, because guess what? You really can't track it. Oh, and by the way, bank accounts at JP Morgan Chase, because you know, like all the stuff that's going on with Jeffrey Epstein right now, right? Where they're like, oh, hold on, wait a second. We need to subpoena Jamie Dimon because they actually let this guy in here, and he brought all of his clients here, and they were running the biggest, scheme of all time, human trafficking, all sorts, God knows what else they were doing, right?
All through JP Morgan Chase.
All through JP Morgan Chase. All through JP Morgan Chase. So don't be fooled by the narrative. If I have your Ethereum address, it's fully transparent. And that's why, some of the best investors that the world has ever seen, like Nancy Pelosi, right? She's what is she, a congresswoman or a senator? I can't remember. I don't even care anymore. But, she has, imagine you having access to her trades in real time, which would happen on the blockchain. This is exactly why these people do not want this. I watch chain analytics all day long, guys and gals. And I'm able to see trends before they form. Right? And it's super transparent. That's the best part about the blockchain, in my opinion. That's the best part about the blockchain. So don't be fooled by the narrative, because it's a lot of lying. It's a lot of lying.
Yeah. Oh yeah, a ton of lying. I mean, like you said, anybody with your wallet address can then go and just click on a link and see every single transaction. And this is why the government agencies don't want to be on the blockchain, because then we will see where they're spending the money that we've been giving them. And we probably won't be too happy when we see where they're spending the money. I remember about maybe 4 years ago or 5 years ago, I got to look back on my timeline. It's on Forbidden Knowledge, that they discovered that some government agencies were utilizing the workers. They were utilizing their credit cards. I guess they had spending accounts, but they were using the spending accounts on child pornography. It was in the hundreds of employees of the U.S. government that were utilizing these credit cards that were really spending accounts for business, U.S. government business, on child pornography. Now, if that was all blockchain linked, we'd be able to see when and what they were doing and who they gave the money to and everything else. They don't want us to see this stuff. I remember back when Oliver North had to answer questions to Cynthia McKinney, Congresswoman Cynthia McKinney, at a congressional hearing about the trillions of dollars that had been missing from the budget. And he just hemmed and hawed, and he gave her some sorry lame excuse about the computers couldn't sync up and our computer couldn't work with your computer and we couldn't send the data. We don't know where the money went. We're going to find it and blah, 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 blah. If that was blockchain, she wouldn't have even had to question him. So this is why they stay away from it. And this is why they don't want it, because it's trackable and you'll be able to see every transaction.
And y'all need to be conscious and aware of the difference between a cryptocurrency on a public blockchain and a central bank digital currency, right? They're going to come to you and say, "Oh no, this is like Bitcoin, guys. Don't worry. This is like Ethereum. It's all good. Don't worry. Yeah. Here you go. Take it." And here's the thing. It's no different than your dollar right now, except they're cutting out the bank, which I'm cool with that, right? I'm always good with cutting out the bank. And it's now a direct relationship with the central bank. So you want to talk about censoring. Again, I used to jaywalk all the time in Denver when I used to live there, all right? I'm not afraid to admit it because I'm a grown adult and I looked both ways and the light wasn't turning for like 2 or 3 minutes and I had to be somewhere. I would jaywalk, all right? But imagine having a camera that digitally marks your face and starts taking money out. Or, you know, if you and your family wanted to go across the country and you spent too much money in gas and they siphon money out of your bank account. All these things, all right? It's called, what is it? The velocity of money. They can slow it down and pick it up, all right? Depending on what they need to. And you don't want a government having that level of control because that would be ultimate enslavement. And that's why we're teaching DeFi, you know?
Yeah, you can make one post that they don't agree with on social media and they can just say, you know what? Delete all their money. Their money is gone. It's gone. Just press one button. Everything's gone. Locked. You can't even get into your own money. And, you know, that's a situation you don't want to be in. I remember when Kanye West was going through that whole thing with Adidas and everything else, and he went and started making these crazy podcasts and crazy online statements and crazy in-person interview statements. And he went to go use his Apple Pay. And Apple Pay had been completely locked and blocked and shut down. And he had millions of dollars in his Apple Pay account that he had lost access to with somebody just pressed one button. Crazy.
Yeah, no, it's wild, man. It's wild. So anyways, if you guys are interested in learning about what we're teaching with DeFi, I think there's some links being dropped there in the chat. You can set up a consultation call with us. We'd love to chat with you. We'd love to show you what we are doing. You know, our community is very aligned with what Billy's, you know, goal is, in my opinion, making a better world, making a more fair and equitable world. And we're all about that. It's just not teaching DeFi. It's helping you with your mindset for your finances, helping you for your mindset to really make changes. I think, you know, we're even teaching some of our students how to relocate to different places where they can lower their overhead so that they can start investing for the first time and bringing opportunities that, you know, most companies don't have because we're just scouring for the best stuff out there for our students so that they have a chance to really make some passive income. So, anyways, that's a little bit about what we do. Hopefully you all found the information helpful, you know, and hopefully you use it to your advantage. But we'd love to talk to you. We'd love to, you know, get on the call with you and see what we can do to help you move in the right direction with all this stuff, because it is coming, guys and gals. It is coming. Billy, I think you're frozen, man. Billy's gone. There you go. He's coming back. There he is.
Yeah. I think my equipment's overheating from being on for like 6 hours straight or something.
Dude, you've been grinding, bro.
Commercials, then podcast at the pod. It's frozen. It keeps freezing up. Yeah.
Yeah. No worries. No worries. Anyways, I was just telling everybody that they can book a call with us. We show people, you know, how to get into DeFi, how to take that first step. And then also how we're working on everybody's mindset. So in regards to this, because that's the big part. I know you've gone on about that with us. The master. I listen every time, man. Like I feel like I'm the one. I should be typing in the chat, man. Sometimes.
It's all good, man. Listen, you bring a wealth of knowledge and wisdom to DeFi and understanding how crypto works, what the future is, how to navigate it, how to profit from it, and how to earn a passive income, which you taught me. So I'm teaching you, but it's reciprocal, man. You're teaching me. I only hang around people and put people in my circle that I can get reciprocal energy from. And you and Matt, your whole team, you guys definitely reciprocate. So I really appreciate it. And to all of you guys out there watching this podcast tonight, just listen. I remember getting involved with Gavan, I don't know, 4 or 5 months ago, whenever it was, and taking a leap of faith and getting involved and getting on this program and getting my hard wallet and learning the process of getting into this thing the right way. I was already, I thought I was doing crypto by buying coins on these different apps and stuff. I was spinning my wheels and wasting my energy. He showed me the way. They showed me the way to do it properly. And since then, I've seen an incredible increase, an incredible return on investment. So it's something that you should take a look at. I'll drop the link in the comments here one more time. And of course, it's in the caption of this video. And schedule yourself a consultation to learn a lot more. They really do hold your hand and walk you through everything step by step. And it's an incredible, incredible program. I see a lot of students in the chat tonight from the program, and some have actually now quit their jobs and are just doing this full time.
Yep. Yeah. No, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. And again, like we're showing everybody how to even now make this into real world assets. So like I can literally carry my property in here, right? I can carry my income producing Airbnb that I own a fraction of in here. I can sell it 24 hours. I can borrow against it with no banks, no centralized authority. There is so many fun things coming up that I'm, that we're teaching. Billy's getting exposed to a lot of it. So we're excited. We're excited to talk to you guys. And again, there's a link in there that is Billy's link to get a call. And let's see if we're aligned. Not everybody's going to be aligned with us, but let's see if we're aligned and see if we can help you out. And by the way, if you're not aligned with us, don't think like it's bad. It's just we're not aligned. You got your thing. We got ours. We're going to be different.
That's right. That's it. That's the way the cookie crumbles. That's the way life is. That's the way the universe is, right? Amen. So you get into things that you feel like you're in alignment with, and just get the consultation and see if this is something that aligns with you and something that you believe in, that's something that you vibe with. I can just tell you from my personal experience, I'm really excited about it and continuing on the path of growth and knowledge and wisdom and learning from the ARC team. And it's just been totally incredible.
Awesome, man. One last thing. How is the Conscious Awards coming up? Because I want to see in the chat, like, is there anybody going to the Conscious Awards? Because this is a big deal. Like I've seen that cinema, man, that you're gonna have that in. That theater. Yeah. That looks dope.
Massive theater, man. It's coming along phenomenal. Been working on it and grinding all day long, every single day with my team, trying to get this thing right. It's going to be a 10-star event. So I just dropped a link to the Conscious Awards. Make sure you guys go and vote for Gavan. He's actually been nominated by his own fans and followers for Entrepreneur of the Year. So he's in there with the top 3 in the category. I think it's Gavan Sarial, which is here right now on live, Mike Rashid, and there's one other entrepreneur in there. I forget who it is at this exact moment, but there's 3 entrepreneurs that are up for Entrepreneur Award. So go and the voting is done by you guys. So make sure you go and vote for Gavan. If you believe in his work, you believe in his what he's done, how he's enlightening humanity, teaching us how to navigate this new financial matrix in a way, and help teaching us how to create passive income. Make sure you click on that link and go vote for Gavan, and then get your ticket and come to the event and meet us in person. Come see us, shake hands, take photos, walk the red carpet, July 30th this year, 2023.
Yeah, dude, I'm super pumped on it. I'm super pumped. I can't wait to go. I got to dust off my nice suit so I can, at least look like you, man, because you're always in a nice suit. I got to Damien Dash. And dude, both of those guys are like larger than life, man. I don't know if I'm gonna win, but we'll see. It's gonna be like the Goliath versus the David, and they're like cool
Dame
as hell.
Dash. Right, Dame Dash is in that category.
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't know, man. It just honestly, just making it to that top 3, I'm like besides myself. But those guys, they have like millions of followers. They're gonna do really well.
Yeah,
But
absolutely. It's gonna be amazing. I saw one person in the comment ask, "Is the Egypt tour closed?" The 10-day tour is closed, but you can go to forbiddenknowledge.com. We set up a second tour in the month of October. That's only a 4-day tour. So if you want to come to the 4-day tour, there are a few spots left. You got to get on that ASAP because that's going to go very fast as well.
Awesome, man. Yeah. Perfect.
Right,
all right,
man.
My brother. Always a pleasure, Billy.
Yes, appreciate it, man. Thanks for hopping on tonight and dropping some knowledge on the peoples so they can get a better understanding, some context on really what's going on in the global economy, how it works, and what can we do to navigate this matrix. You guys make sure you click the link in the caption of this video. Get yourself a consultation. I guarantee you won't be sorry. All right, Gavin.
All right, my dude. I'll talk to you soon,
peace.
man. All right. Peace out.